breeze blowing, storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the baseline is about to begin. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend, Mike, he's your man. And he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here at Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation Pride.
And all right, here we are. What's up, everybody? Good evening. I didn't say morning. That's amazing. That means we're in the evening mode now. The last 3 days, I was like, "Good morning." I didn't have the dogs sometimes on these night little chats, and people get upset. So we did Louie this morning, so we'll do Hunter today, while we say hello to everybody. All right, so I know there's a lot of anxious people out there, a lot of people getting nervous. I get it. This could be a stressful time, not knowing where a storm's going. Totally get it. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to show all the latest models. I can't stress enough the importance of following National Hurricane Center and National Weather Service. I am not an official source. We look long range. We look at models. Some of that stuff's a little too much for some people, and they get really upset. So, if spaghetti models stress you out, stick to the National Weather Service, and they have that big old cone. If you're in that cone, it's pretty much where all the spaghetti models are. So I don't know. It's almost the same. It's just a blended look at the spaghetti models. But we appreciate you being here. My name is Mike. This is Hunter. Kathy. Let's see, homecoming. We got our homecoming pictures in. Yes, we did. All of Pinellas County schools. What was that? We don't know if they're going to be open yet or not. So this is our little weather page. We got a really happy group of people. We're like a weather family. We're like No Shoes Nation. We're a weather brew crew, Conehead, bunch of weather geeks. So I've been streaming live here on Facebook since 2016 on the videos, and we've been online since 2009. I'm proud to say we got about 1.5 million followers now between all the different platforms. So welcome. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, by the way. So I'm going to roll right into it. I'm going to say hi just for a minute or two, and then we're going to go right into it, so I'm not being rude. Hey, we got somebody from Puerto Rico. How's it doing in Puerto Rico, Jonathan Santiago? I got a good buddy, Gio. I saw the power slowly getting back on, but there's still a couple 100,000 at least. I think I saw 500,000 still without power. Hey, Ian, the storm warnings dropped completely for you guys. The storm's going a little farther south. That's great. So we're going to talk about all the trends. We have people watching from the Caymans. We got people watching from Jamaica. That's amazing, the power of the internet. We have somebody from Puerto Rico. So it's amazing that our reach is so wide. Yeah, all right, so let's get right into it. I got one more can of Monster. I hope maybe that's a sign the storm's going to disappear, because this is my last Monster for the week. I doubt it. We got a few more days to watch. So, all right, so a little bit about these models. Models flip-flop. They move around. People like to know all the chances. Let's put up the old cone here of uncertainty. This is what it's all about right here. This is everything. Can't stress it enough. I talk about it a lot. This cone is put out by the National Hurricane Center, and this is anywhere that the eye wall can go. So pretty much your spaghetti models are in this eye wall, and it's always had this eye wall with Florida and West Central Florida. Now we have lost some South Florida. They're breathing a little easier tonight, but individual models move around a little bit, and if you're in this cone, you have a chance that the storm's coming. And the NHC put this out at 5 o'clock. It had another little shift. That's a big news here. We had a little shift, but they're also kind of letting people know there's high uncertainty Wednesday and Thursday, because the GFS and Euro are so different right now. They're kind of torn, and you can read it in their descriptions that they're very uncertain, higher than usual uncertainty in the day 4, day 5. So they're just kind of letting everybody know. There's some important key messages that come out that you need to read. I read them. There's a lot of great data. But, bottom line, listen, it's going to be a major hurricane in the Gulf, regardless of the track. Dangerous surge, hurricane winds, heavy rainfall along the west coast of Florida and Florida Panhandle by the middle of next week. All residents in Florida need to ensure they have their hurricane plan in place, follow advice by officials, and closely monitor their updates. So, that's coming right from the big dog's mouth. So that's where we're at. We'll have a new update at 11 o'clock. The cone is getting a little tighter. That's always good news. But if you read their discussion, we're going to show you all the spaghetti models and everything else, but I want to give you the latest from today. Changes today. And this is pretty much it. The track forecast is still highly uncertain days 4 and 5, with the GFS and ECM 200 nautical miles apart. That's a big swing between the GFS and the Euro. So they're just letting you know, and the ensembles. So they are doing more data collection. They're doing testing of the approaching front. They're trying to get a handle on how strong this front actually is, and that's going to definitely help the forecast overnight and tomorrow. So by tomorrow, man, this forecast is going to get really direct, and they're going to hopefully get it a little bit more, in tune. So yeah, it's supposed to hit up to 130 miles an hour. That's a lot of rapid intensification possible. That's going to be a strong hurricane in the middle of the Gulf. It is expected to weaken on approach. One thing that hasn't changed, the farther north this system goes, it's going to get there longer, and it's going to run into some shear. And when it runs into some of that shear and dry air, it could weaken a little bit on approach. So that's kind of good news, but it's still expecting 105 miles an hour on approach to potential landfall. And that would be somewhere right now they're showing officially a little bit towards the Big Bend area. Here's the latest track. So pretty significant, adjustments today from 5 to 11 to 5. We've seen this track move a lot as far as the center line goes. And you don't see that very often. You don't see that much adjustment 3 runs in a row. So anyway, yeah, it's hard. I am not a source for evacuation advice. I can tell you that. You need to go to your local county websites for that kind of stuff. But if you read the NHC's wording, can't stress enough, this system is large. No matter where the eye ends up going, there's going to be effects on the Florida West Coast. There's going to be effects towards the north, towards the Panhandle. It's a wide system. We talked about this earlier. We could see definite storms, even though our storm could be here. Our storm right now is 450 miles wide. That means we're going to see squall lines still rolling in, potentially, strong storms as this thing scoots on by. So, the effects are far outside that cone, especially on a system that's, large. It's a large system. It's 450 miles. Let me show you that right now. I got this up. Here's a current really good look at it. This is weathernerds.org. They actually found a center below this big blob here. And the hurricane hunters have that. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. I don't know if I had it up or not. I was going to show you. Well, let's just show you the latest model. So Tropical Tidbits here. These are your latest spaghetti models on Tropical Tidbits. So I guess I'll just leave them right there for now. Here's the cone. Basically, NHC uses spaghetti models. They look at ensembles. They look at spaghetti models. They put it all together. They draw their cone based on current tracks, and that's why we have a cone of uncertainty. This spaghetti model basically is your cone of uncertainty. Doesn't get any more clearer than that, I hope. So the cold front's coming. There's definitely a gap that's going to pull this northward. It's going to be entering those hot waters of the Western Caribbean and lower Gulf. It's expected to intensify to 130 miles an hour down there. So it's still something serious to watch. Definitely. Water levels, yes. Captain Mike's space. That's something I want to talk about as I grab a bug. You ever get them little black bugs, little sugar bug? I don't know. They don't call them sugar bugs, but like little sugar ants. They're attracted to my monitor. A lot of New Orleans questions. Well, I don't want to say anything, but right now you don't have any spaghetti models your way. They're not really mentioning New Orleans. Remember, everything's going to end up being on the east side, especially with a sheared system. I'll show you some models on that. So, what about questions don't get answered? If you're in the cone, there's a chance. I'm not. When the NHC is highly uncertain, they're the boss. Remember, it was a lot easier. It's a lot easier to predict the system, 3 days out than it is where we're 5 days out. So, just putting it out there. We could see another shift east back. We could. The emotions of watching storms is so intense. You get everybody in South Florida, we had a lot of lines going down there not that long ago. Now we don't. There's some people mad about it. I get it. You're mad. I don't know why you're mad. I don't think you really want a storm. It's okay to have the storm wiggle wobble. I mean, but that's what they do. So depending on when the actual center, gets going, the center is very disorganized. I did add the link to it, by the way, on the site. You can go to recon data here. There's our latest fix here just south of 14.5, and that, if you look at some of the data from the hurricane hunters, their last fix, that's what they're going to use for their next run of the spaghetti models. So that's what the hurricane hunters provide the data, gets fed into the models, and that's where we get new runs. The next new runs are going to be out in 3 hours. You can see the track here. This is kind of one thing that kind of happened. Our storm track went a little farther south. This initialized the models to shift a little bit west. If this thing somehow gets a new center north, then the models would adjust and wiggle back a little bit. So this is kind of what happened throughout the day today. The storm wiggled a little bit farther south. It's very disorganized still. Still expected to intensify. It's gaining into an area with zero wind shear practically and extremely warm water. So it's just a matter of time that this thing gets going. Like I said, here's a current look. It's bubbling. It's definitely not lacking convection at all. Here is what it looks like on another satellite imagery. You can see some good outflow, really fanning out on all four. You can see clear circulation. It looks great on the outside, right? It's just inside core is not developed yet. There's a lot of lightning. Great points were being made today that even though it had a lot of lightning, Lightning usually indicates a strengthening tropical system, and it looks like it's strengthening, but underneath it's not. It's not there yet. So a really odd little storm right here because it looks good as far as structure on the outside. And you can start to see the band spiraling. You can see low-level circulation. You can start to see, I was going to touch my screen to show you. You can almost see some last-second really blowing up of some cloud tops there right around the center. And you can, I mean, it's really healthy looking. So it's baffled a lot with the fact that the center has been so disorganized. The hurricane hunters struggling out there to try to find a really good true center. The winds are just all over the place. So it's really interesting. Kind of tricking the models a little bit. The general steering is not unchanged. And if you think about the spread here, we haven't really seen a huge change. I mean, you know, this is not really a lot when you look at the degrees of turning, you know. So we'll see where it stops. We'll see where the NHC stops the west ticks. They're getting data sampling tonight. Like I mentioned, they're going to have a lot more information to put in to see how strong that front is, and then they're going to feed that into the models, and they're hoping that the models, the GFS and the Euro, can actually agree. It's like a husband and wife. They don't agree a lot, actually. Been doing this a long time, and it seems like we've wrote GFS versus Euro a bazillion times. Right? There's a lot of state emergency. There's a lot of counties in emergency mode in Florida right now. This is not because of the lines shift. It's because the storm's going to be wide. Let me show you another imagery. I thought I had it open. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Let me see. Let me close some stuff. We're not going to get into the 30,000 windows that I had open earlier today because there is the one I wanted. This is a good one. This is really good. Let me zoom. Oh, you can't really zoom in. This won't let me zoom in that much. Well, anyway, you get the idea. This is the current look. Here is Florida, and here is our system. So you can tell the size is definitely large. It's 450 miles wide. And then when this gets in the Gulf, you know, if it's 50 miles offshore, it's still going to be reaching all the way across the state of Florida. So that's what they're stressing with the NHC, is that Florida Peninsula is still going to have surge, flooding rains, strong hurricane force winds, etc. So don't focus on that center line quite yet. No stackage yet there, CJ. Remember, most of the models showed development after Jamaica, and it's below Jamaica right now. So we're waiting now into that Western Caribbean. So yeah, the GFS is right, Telford Holmes. That's the American model. Maybe they're cheering it on. Maybe they're, you know, who knows? The whole state of Florida is under a state of emergency. Didn't know that, Doug. I haven't keep up with that. I know they do that so they can declare, you know, certain things can happen easier. So, hey, Fabrico from Cancun. There's an outside chance this thing can scoot kind of close. Most of the models have it either Western Cuba or just splitting the gap. So you're going to be on the west side. And, you know, in open waters, that got tricky for our friends down in the Dominican Republic. Remember, because Fiona wobbled big time off of Puerto Rico and ended up in the Dominican Republic, and we had a big burst of convection on the west side. So I'd keep my eye on it really close. So, you know, let's just go into all the models right now real quick. Let me close out some things. So we got the spaghetti models. One model that isn't on these sites is the Euro, and the Euro is coming in right here. So the Euro is right off the coast of Tampa Bay. So I'm going to show that one first because I just want everybody to realize the almighty Euro is still showing this developing system coming off of Cuba. This is Tuesday, close to the Keys. But watch the intensity increase. 82, 81, 76, 71, 60. Now, I get it. Twitter is really gets angry on track shifts, like mad, like because it shifted and now I'm a hyper. But The Euro, man, the Euro is a very good model, and that is a very scary forecast for West Central Florida. So it is trending a little west too, but man, you can't just say we're out of it if you live in the West Central Florida, because a 951 hurricane nearing Tampa Bay is bad, and you have to. The Euro's one of the best models, so that's the Euro. And then what it does here, it kind of a lot of surge and a lot of storms for a large portion of folks. You can start to see this frontal line here showing up on all the models. This extra green stuff here is our frontal line, and it's going to be entering a sheared area because of that old front. The storm track, we're going to have intense rain setting up. And I got some rain maps to show you. But there you go. There's the latest, weakening. The difference with the Euro is this. All models are showing intensification in the middle to lower Gulf because the wind shear is going to be light. Makes a lot of sense. A turn into Florida, it doesn't have time to weaken, thus 952. The farther north it goes, this has been a theme now for 2 days. We've been seeing this in the models. Farther north it goes, it has a greater chance to get disrupted by that front and weaken a little bit. So GFS is actually showing like a 930 system over here, pulling up from, But let's look at all the trends here with the GFS. So that was 12Z. Overnight was, down by, what's that, Sarasota, Venice. Yesterday's afternoon run, it was not too far south. So there's 3 runs from Tampa to, what is that, maybe Fort Myers. I mean, that's not a very big swing, and it's been real consistent. So 5 or 6 runs now. It's been really consistent. The GFS has been in everywhere from Tampa to Texas. So anyway, that's why the NHC says there's high uncertainty right now. It's because of the GFS or the Euro. The latest GFS. Let's show you how different it is. This is what's got everybody confused. But again, remember the GFS has not had a lot of good moments this year. Here's Wednesday. Look, 929. We're already seeing sheared storms into the West Central Florida, even though our system's well off to the west. This is bringing action to Florida. This is far west. This is definitely the outliers, the GFS west, and it pulls it north. It weakens it, but still 975 is not that weak. So I posted earlier, Panhandle definitely should be watching. Started picking up on this last night. If you remember, we were seeing some more of this, some of these models trending a little bit more towards the Panhandle. And that's enough to, we could even get some action in the, upper Gulf to the Alabama and Mississippi a little bit. Latest icon, at this point, I don't know if any of them are any better than the GFS, but here's the latest icon. This is the 18Z. It's coming in hot, just like the Euro, 952, South Florida, crossing through a little bit more and pulling up. So, man, I mean, we're there's no guarantee right now. This is Wednesday. Normally, man, 5 days out, normally we would have a little more confidence. It's not like I'm showing 10-day models here and we're guessing. We should be within a window that the models are a little more, but it's all because of this frontal line. There's a front, there's a high pressure builds back in and starts pushing our system, and we get this slow down and stall possibly, because high pressure is starting to develop back in again. So that's why they're going to measure. It's pretty cool, right? They're going to actually measure the strength of this frontal system, and they said by tonight they're going to start getting more data in the models on the actual how strong this jet stream dip is. The GFS, you can see 2 different looks here. let's look at the H-Wharf real quick too. The H-Mon and H-Wharf, not particularly the best track models, but it's worth showing. Here is the extremely fast intensification, 943, 936, 930. H-Wharf, a very good model on intensification, and it takes it up to the Panhandle too. And that's a strong system. H-Mon. None of these are meant to scare anybody. Listen, trust me. NHC has a cone for a reason. No, the H-Mon really weakens it on approach, but still shows 920, 930 in the lower Gulf. So confidence is, strong system in the lower Gulf, weakening possibly as it reaches the upper Gulf, if that's where it ends up going. But man, if the Euro and Icon, weren't so opposite, it would make sense. But they are definitely showing. That's the Icon, and here's the latest Euro. So that's, man, two schools of thinking. And if you think about it, it's really not that far off here in the scheme of things. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's really, it's not. So, but hey, models are, models. We see windshield wiper effects in the past. Maybe maybe we'll see a wiggle back. But I always look at spaghetti models. Let's look at some other models here we can look at on the site. I like to look at Southwest Florida Water Management too. They throw in the ensembles, so this is a good map. You can really see a little bit more sometimes. The pink lines are your Euro ensembles. Obviously, we have a lot of them still over Florida Peninsula. The gray are your GFS ensembles. Main operational runs are obviously your darker colors. And this actually shows the GFS below the NHC cone. So the NHC is kind of getting in the middle of both, schools of thinking. The red line is your current NHC track. Some of these ensembles I'm talking about. So short term, these are on weathernerds.org. These are your 12Z ensembles. They came out here this afternoon. You can see the fanning out with the Euro, basically showing a north tug on the majority of them, and quite a few, quite a few below the black line. The black line is the mean, and that's exactly where the operational run. That's usually how it works. The black line ends up being the operational run because it's the average of the two. Your ensemble is your spread and thinking, but there's a Euro. Down the road, it's interesting. The confusion sets in on a slowing down and stalling possibly a little bit. Again, that hasn't changed. The rain threat is real in Florida. Here's the latest rain map. They did adjust it, by the way. This is new. Actually, let me pull up the 7-day. This is new rainfall estimates, and here's your guide. So brown is 7 to 10, kind of mustard is 10 to 15, and yellow is 15 plus. So look, we're getting some very high rainfall predictions. Now some of those are even inching into southern Georgia and maybe coastal South Carolina because our frontal line is going to be there. All this tropical juice gets sheared off to the east, so these rains that are showing up in South Carolina and Georgia and stuff are being fueled by our tropical system with our shear. But man, look, we're getting some yellow areas here that are, 7 to 10 to 10 to 15 inches of rain. And there's a lot of people that know Florida is very saturated right now. People living along, St. John's, Okeechobee. All the lake levels are very high in Florida right now, and any more rain is just going to cause additional flooding and definitely increase the odds for power outages. So they're expecting a little bit more higher power outages this time around because of this saturation of the trees. So yeah. So the rest of Only one hurricane drinking comment, Mike. I'll make it up for it later. So we got a lot of folks watching, man. We had 15,000 this morning. I can't believe it. So yeah, Florida's very moist. Do y'all like that word? Moist? Moist and juicy? Manny wants to rain in Kansas. We'll send it your way, Manny. We'll truck it on over there. We'll get ourselves a convoy, man. Where's Rubber Duck? So this is rain. Look at. I mean, come on. Everybody's focused on that eye, right? The eye is the winds. To be realistic, the eye is about a 10, 15, 20, 30 mile area of the intense winds. More people will be affected because of the squall lines, the rains, surge. So it's not just the eye path with that. Let's look at some higher resolution. Well, okay, so we got the rain. I talked a lot about surge earlier. There is a really good site. I moved the surge links up here to the top now. You can see them. There's no official surge sites yet, but I added this one underneath the intensity. Oh, here's the intensity map I wanted to show too on Tropical Tidbits. This is our intensity models. And look, man, there's quite a few in the 4 range now. So look, day 2, 3, 4. There's that weakening, but man, look at that. That is a lot of intensity models predicting category 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that many intensity models predicting a category 4. That is what you got to worry about if this thing does curve a little bit quicker into Florida. This thing will not have a chance to weaken. That's why the Euro is showing a 951 millibar system right now. And the Icon. Again, the Icon hasn't... it is a good model. Initially, but I don't know about future track. The Icon sniffs them out great, but it's doing the same thing the Euro's doing. So we got a classic two-sided argument here on what's going on. And I don't know what that front line is. All I know is that history with Charlie and other storms, stronger the storms naturally want to tug off to the northeast. I'd be more worried about an unexpected last-second curve if we have a system that's like a Category 4 in the Gulf of Mexico. Because the old timers that used to track hurricanes used to say it. Hurricanes can make their own, they can do their own thing. They make up their own mind. They become their own little weather, they become the dominating feature when you get a Category 4 in the middle of the Gulf. I mean, yes, steering currents are really going to come into play, but how strong is that high going to be on the East Coast? So that it still has those Charlie vibes of a storm coming up and just naturally wanting to tug a little bit on that east side. But we'll see. As long as you're in that current cone, unfortunately, Charlie's was centered over Tampa, right? They stress so much. Don't focus on that black line. Nobody down south was expecting it, even though they were in the cone. It turned, and everybody told me like they all thought I was going to Tampa. Well, they were still in the cone, So you got to remember the cone. The cone is where the eye could go. It's not the black line down the middle is not a guarantee. And this is a cool thing. I never noticed this. Look at the official intensity here. I didn't realize that. So they're keeping it. No, it's up here. There's 2 of them. They're actually showing a 4. That's that one. So the NHC is right here in this black line right here. Just bottom end of a 4. But notice there's a lot more above it. So the NHC's actually got some models above it that's saying it could even be stronger than 130. But a 951 system, I have all these links on the site here, but a 951 hurricane could be borderline 3-4. 945 is the old cutoff. So The old San Francisco scale used to be 945 on the break between a 3 and a 4. So let's see. We covered it all, really. They're going to get new data tonight. There's a lot of question marks on how strong that frontal line really is. The stronger the front, the more guarantee this thing turns into Florida on the West Coast. Weaker the front, then more chance that we get a blocking high come in from the Atlantic and shove it more north. And I don't want to make any guesses. A lot of linemen down here. Yes, Autumn. Panhandle is not safe, Amy. You are in the cone. I can't stress it enough. If you're in the cone, there's a chance that the hurricane can come with a direct hit. And there's some models predicting straight up towards the Panhandle to watch. So, I'm just really curious. I just don't know why the GFS is so west when the Euro is so east. Let's see, Dorian. Dorian had a high pressure buildup towards the Gulf that actually stopped it. Originally, Dorian was supposed to come across the state. So yeah, weather patterns change. I probably said it a bazillion times about 3 or 4 days ago. When the models are pointing at you 7 days out, there's a really good chance they're not going to be there 7 days from now because weather patterns change. Weaker goes west, but as soon as this thing starts organizing, it's going to have a natural pull to the north. So, Susan, $1 million question: where's Jim Cantori? Thank you, Captain Danny. Daniel, it's been consistently west, correct. The GFS, it backed over one time really close to Tampa. Now it's back west again. So, do I have homecoming pictures? Yeah, I do actually. I just have a group shot of our family. It was nice. Sarah did a really nice shot. So, here we are. Check it out. There we are. It came out really good. There is our homecoming picture, obviously. So that was about an hour ago. And there we are. Short skirts. I had to walk away, man. What's up with these girls wearing these damn 16-year-old girls? They look like adults now. Makes you realize it's not your little girl no more. Like, where'd my little girl go? So, Kay wants to know about storm surge in Pinellas County. 100%. I showed the worst case scenario earlier on the last track. That would have been history in the making, and I made it very clear that was not a forecast. The worst case scenario for Tampa Bay is a storm that passes off to our west and makes landfall to our north, and kind of close because of the counterclockwise push of water. I went into that earlier a lot more, but the latest surge map based on the latest track, I have a link to it. It's right there. We're going to see a lot less storm surge than we did earlier. Remember, earlier we had a lot of Pinellas County and Tampa Bay underwater. Our track moved a little bit west. That means less. But look, I haven't even looked at this yet. But even, wow, man, that's still scary. Man, look at that. This isn't a forecast. This is a, computer-driven slosh base map that is possibilities. But look at this. Even with the track over here, because it's going to be 114 miles an hour right here, hurricane category 3. They're showing it predicted. Even though it's weakening here, 107 miles an hour, the problem that we're going to have here is the storm is so wide. Even at this track, we're going to see water being pushed in to areas that could flood. So look at that. Still prediction, some serious flooding possible in Tampa Bay on the given track right now. If this thing bumped back east again, I'm telling you, I shared it earlier. I didn't get one hype statement, thank goodness, because I made it clear. I hope it's not a forecast; it's a what if. And share that all the time on our Daily Brew about storm surge and worst case scenarios and areas based on the rotational spin of storms. But I haven't looked at this. This is kind of shocking to me. Still, we could still see really high values here in Tampa Bay, and that's because this water has nowhere to go. It spins in and just pushes. It has nowhere to go. So that's kind of scary a little bit. Notice the farther out the storm goes, your chances are becoming less and less along the south. The farther south you go. So still with storm surge issues on the current track. And this is deja vu again, all over again with Ada. A lot of these areas, Redding Shores, Madeira Beach, Bay Pines, all these areas could have surge, 5-6 feet possible. So still a very worrisome scenario for Florida if that track verifies. So something to keep in mind. That would possibly cover our bridges. Now listen, I've seen our bridges covered before. Debbie, right? Tropical Storm Debbie, Elena, tropical storms. So you get a Category 3 hurricane off the coast here, even though it's far off, it's still going to produce surge and that's what NHC basically told everybody tonight, right? West Central, be prepared. And again, our system's 450 miles wide. We're going to have squall lines going into the state. We're going to have potential for tornadoes off of the Gulf of Mexico. Squall lines are going to be feeding off of that warm Gulf water, and always that threat of severe thunderstorms rolling in through the state. So there's still a lot of unknowns right now, people. So there's your surge for Manatee. Not as much farther out you go, but look at Siesta Key North here. Longboat, you can still have some. You're close enough that we can start to see some along Cortez and Anna Maria Islands. So this is a great tool. It's based on the latest track, which is cool. Remember the image I shared earlier? Let me show it. This one. This was earlier today. This was the track that was closer to us. That's serious. I mean, this is that worst case scenario of a Category 2-3 storm passing by Tampa Bay. This is like guaranteed evacuations. Get the heck out of Dodge. Track went west a little less, but still a possibility. But anyway, so we got new data coming into the models. By tomorrow, things are going to be very solid. And that's all we can do, right? So your timestamps. Let's just leave this up here one more time. I got to get rolling. Got dinner. Been a long day. All right, here's your timestamps. Just to give an idea. Remember, the effects are going to be felt way past center. So even though we got 2 p.m. Wednesday, Tuesday here, we can start seeing storms circling around, as far as, Central Florida. So even though the storm could be way the heck down in Cuba, we're going to start seeing storms, Tuesday all the way. And here, there's no better example than this right here. The most reasonable time frame of tropical storm force winds. Tuesday, right here, look, Tuesday into the peninsula. So even though our storm could be down here somewhere, we can still see winds reaching Central Florida Tuesday afternoon Tuesday night. Karen, that's a great question. The current weakening is expected because there's going to be a frontal line up there, and the front is still going to be hanging around a little bit, and some dry air. So anytime you have shear and dry air, it helps weaken a system. It should. The H-Wharf ain't buying into it. But if it slows down, it would have enough time to start ingesting some dry air and be affected by the shear. So a fast-moving system wouldn't weaken that much, but all along we're seeing this slowdown here if it continues in the Gulf. And if it slows down in the Gulf, it has a chance to weaken some. Still hurricane, but it could weaken a little bit and increase more prolonged nasty weather as it slows down. But anyway, I hope that all made sense. Jim Cantori wants to know if he can sleep on my couch. Well, I did a picture. I'm going to post it a little bit later. So the Cayman, somebody said they dropped their warnings. I don't know if I have that map open or not. No, they're still there. Caymans are still under hurricane warning. The good news, at least, is the core of the system is still expected to pass to the south. So other than overnight, tomorrow night into Monday, we could have some squall lines, but the eye wall at least is. Thank you, Judith. I got your text if you're watching. The eye wall is going to stay off. So. So, of course, I put my hat on, and I got my Storm Chaser shirt on, and I took a picture here. I put up a sign on my garage. Reserve parking for Jim and Josh. Jim Cantori and Josh Morganman. We'll see what kind of reactions I get on that. Oh, Jamaica dropped their warnings. They were under a watch. Yes, sorry, Ian. I'm thinking you're correct, Ian. Yep, Jamaica dropped their and that at least lines up with the modeling. It just the storm went a little farther south, but that's good news for you guys, right? It always was going to be your south. So, Cindy, the center is not 100% set yet, so we're waiting on some organization here. It looks great from the outside. But there's no true solid center yet. A lot of lightning. Ooh, look at this burst of convection right here. It just started coming out. That's 15 degrees. This is good satellite imagery here. You can see some really good convection firing off. It's in a low shear environment, and it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. Look at that new burst of convection. So watch in real time. Shelly's saying dinner. All right, dinner. So some key times today and tonight. So we got a new set of spaghetti models that'll be out at 9 o'clock. We're going to have a new NHC track at 11. The almighty Euro runs at 2 a.m. if you want to wait that long. See if we have another shift west. That to me is the big question. If we get a shift west on the Euro again. And how much farther the NHC shifts theirs, because according to that surge map, we can still have some big problems in Tampa Bay, even with that track off the coast right there. Thank you, Bertha. Okay. Thank you, Bertha. I didn't know that. I said slosh thinking. That's what I meant. Because there are no slosh maps that simulate, the same type of imagery. But you're correct. Thank you for that correction. But they're similar to slosh maps is what I was kind of getting at. The old style slosh maps have, category 1, 2, 3, but they don't give you the angle of approach. They're just worst case regardless. So what's awesome with that tool, it's based on current NHC data. Lynn says NOAA upper level recon is confirmed is now stacked. Well, that's good information. So there you go. Watching in real time. Lynn, great information. Thank you. No video at 2 a.m., Rosie. I got to sleep. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm hanging there with you. That's it. Got to watch it. You know, be ready, be prepared. If you're in that cone, when that 3-day cone gets closer to you, that's when it gets real. And we're inching closer to that every update. 3-day cone will be inching in towards Florida here another, maybe by tomorrow. Maybe we'll start getting the 3-day cone. So there you go. All right. See y'all tomorrow. I'll be live sometime tomorrow. I'll do another AM update quickie in the morning for sure. So that'll be posted by 8. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Shelly. We are going to drink beer. I was up at 4:30 this morning. See you guys. Bye.